Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing well this Saturday. I've just spent a little bit of time reading through all your initial responses to the requests for the top five lists. I really enjoyed reading what you wrote and adding a few to my own list of things to follow up on. I'm really looking forward to a continued conversation with you about literature and the arts. A couple of things. Number one, I look forward to your continued discussion in week one around that question of top five lists. I encourage you to engage each other about what you're writing and not just make it, so to speak, a one-on-one with me. That's part of the expectation, and I hope you'll be able to follow through on that. The other thing, I've noticed that only a couple of you have actually completed the jargon or vocabulary quiz. That's really set up as a teaching tool. You can do it as many times as you need. It's an important part of this course, building vocabulary that we will use and I will use in class and hope that you will use in class. And it builds most of the terms, words that are used in the vocabulary or jargon for this course build throughout all 5 weeks. So I encourage you to complete that. Plus it's a few more points. Well, this is the beginning of week 2, and we start our kind of more in-depth journey into one of the major categories of literature, the genre of poetry. Genre is an art word that simply means a category of artistic endeavor, usually. It applies throughout all the arts, not just literary arts. In music, for example, there is the genre of symphonic music, and then there's the genre of chamber music. In the fine arts, there is the genre of painting and the genre of sculpture, so on and so forth. For the purpose of this course, we are considering 3 genres. Over the next 3 weeks, weeks 2, 3, and 4, we will be looking in some depth into 3 key genre of literary arts. Week 2 is poetry, a category that some of you have already said you don't like. Well, too bad. Sometimes I think a good definition of education is it makes us do what we would rather not do, makes us study what we just as soon not study. The nice thing about that is that from time to time we discover that we actually like what we thought we didn't like. The problem was a problem of familiarity or a problem of lack of vocabulary or understanding. I hope you'll end up enjoying it, or at least tolerating it a bit more. The way we are going to approach this genre is really fourfold. First, we will attempt to define it and explain its chief characteristics. Like much of literature, it's not really a box that you can put everything into and say, this is it. But generally, poetry behaves in similar ways regardless of the poet or what the poet is trying to do or the form that the poet chooses to write his or her poetry in. We're also going to work at using poetic-related vocabulary appropriately. You'll take a quiz, just like you did in week 1, that will build your vocabulary and make it possible for you to do the rest of the work for this week. So I actually hope you work on vocabulary first. And actually the work you do in the 2 following genres, stories, narrative, prose stories, and drama will be enhanced as well. You're also asked to do another explanation. Explication. Yes, you've already done one at the beginning of week 1. And I hope that you've spent some time with the PowerPoint explication example that I put together for you. If you haven't, I really recommend that you do that before you take on this secondary task of explication. And finally, explain and illustrate the importance of metaphor. This is as a team project. You all work together on this one. And weeks 2, 3, and 4 each have a team experience. And since you're only 5 students in this class, you constitute a team. And as I said in an earlier email and in the explanation that is provided for you on Moodle, you'll work on only one of the assignments that in a larger class you might have worked on. Divided you up into teams and you would have been on 2 or 3 different team investigations. So as a team, you will develop a presentation for what many consider to be the true heart of poetry. And honestly, metaphor is kind of the true heart of any literary activity, and in many respects is part of everything we do. It's one of the ways we talk and communicate. I'm not going to say more about this at this point because I want you to really dig into this and discover the power of metaphor for yourselves and then share it out, and we'll have some further discussion about that. I think we're off to a really good start. I'm enjoying your work and your responses, and I look forward to the rest of the journey with you. See you online. Bye-bye.